Don't forget your, Richard Woods is our next speaker. Richard's a candidate for state school superintendent. He doesn't come down here from Atlanta. Richard's from Tiffin. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. It's good to have just an hour drive. We've been involved with this campaign now over 12 months with myself. Just a little bit about my background. My family is originally from the Irwin County area, within farming and stuff of that nature. My dad served in the United States Navy for 20 years, and again, so I have had the privilege of seeing our east and west coast. For a while, we were stationed over here at the Naval Air Base when it was operational, during the 70s. We came back, lived over here for a few years. My dad worked for Georgia Power and Atlantic Ice, and so I had the opportunity of attending our public schools over here. I think looking at it at Morningside Elementary, Raven Springs, I guess it was junior high, and Doherty High, my 10th and 11th grade year until we moved over back home to Ben Hill County and graduated from Fitzgerald in 1980. But since that time, it has been my privilege to serve Georgia public education. I've done this now for 22 years. And again, as I stand before you, I am not a politician, but I'm an educator. I'm an educator who knows what works, and I have a plan that will lead us to educational success. During these 22 years, the first 14, I served as a social studies teacher over at Lee County High School. For the past 7 years, I've worked as an elementary school administrator, serving as assistant principal, and the on-site K-5 curriculum director. This year, I'm over the pre-K, alternative school, hospital homebound, and homeschool programs for the Irwin County school system. And so I stand before you as the only candidate that has experience from pre-K through 12th grade as either a teacher or an administrator at the site level. And again, that is the reason that I'm running, because I have had to deal with all the policies, whether they come from Washington, whether they come from Atlanta, whether they come from my own central office. We have had to implement all these things. I have to work with teachers, I have to work with students, I have to work with parents, and trying to get them, provide them with the best education that we can while having our hands tied behind, or at least one hand tied behind our back during the whole process. And so I present to you basically a simple plan that rests on a solid foundation. We need to make sure that we do have a solid foundation within education. And roughly that means bringing common sense back into education. It's a bit cliche-ish, but we know so much about education, and it's time that we actually are allowed to do what we know that works. And first of all, I'd like to address our curriculum. We have a curriculum that I feel that is very porous. We need to make sure that we kind of look at what are we actually asking our kids to learn. As your next state school superintendent, I'm going to demand that we have a mastery of reading, writing, and math in those K-5 areas. We have to have mastery there. Remediation is not a word that we need to hear in middle school, in high school, in college, in technical college, in the military, in the workplace. We have to go back to have that solid foundation. It's what I grew up with. It gave me an opportunity that once I got out, I was able to attend technical college with air conditioning and refrigeration. I was able to become a purchasing agent for a multi-million-dollar company up in New Jersey and worked there between there and Atlanta for a while. And it also gave me the option that when I finally decided, hey, I want to go back into school, become an educator, work with the children, enjoy the things that I have a great passion for, it provided me with it. And we need to give our kids that. We need to look at also returning choice back to our diploma selection. Right now you basically have one track. We're trying to force feed all of our kids, drive them into what we call really a college track diploma. And we have taken away the importance of the technical schools, the technical colleges that we have today. This is the backbone of what goes on within our country. Even within college, if you look at that, they have kind of an underlying secret, roughly about a 50% dropout rate in our universities. And so that means that many of these students eventually go back into our technical schools. And so we've got to do a better job at preparing our kids, giving them that choice early on, providing them an avenue that they can pursue an education, that they enjoy. And if they enjoy it, they're going to be more motivated to pursue something. They're going to give their very best and hopefully give them hope for the future. Within our university system track, I'd love to see a pure math science track, but also a liberal arts track. Again, we have that choice when we step into the college doors. And because of that choice, what you find out is that individuals, they gravitate towards their strength. Again, we as individuals know, and again, as I'm a teacher, I assure you, if I'm in a meeting there that has no interest to me, and somebody just rattling off stuff that I don't care about, you basically tune them off, and kids are not going to be any different. So we have to take the things that we know that work and how people understand and learn and apply those common sense principles back to our education. And also, we looked at, being a conservative myself. And again, I probably, if you had to kind of put Richard Woods in a nutshell, I stand before you as a Christian, conservative, constitutional Republican. And again, in that order. And that's the beliefs and the foundations I look at. And so much as a social studies teacher as well, I want to make sure that our kids know the Constitution of the United States. Not some diluted liberal form that is out there. We have to protect the information that is presented through textbook companies. One of the things I do propose, and not necessarily worried about what goes on in Texas because I can't control that, but we have to control what comes into our state. And we have to have, I would look at getting an organization or a panel, even an outside group that would vet the textbooks that come into our country or into our state and make sure that we are teaching the truth about our country's heritage, its foundation, and the political process. We need to make sure that our students are not ignorant. I think we've seen what ignorance gets us in this country. It was very obvious with this last election. So we need to make sure that with this, that we have individuals that stand up for those principles. One of the days or just recently, I was out and about on the campaign trail, and we stopped at a Burger King, and a young gentleman, probably 16 or 17, he saw me over there, and he looked at my name badge, and he said, what's a Republican? And at that point, I just really did not know what to say. I said, what's it? He says, I said, I know I know who our president is, but what's he? What does he stand for? And so, these are things that, these are individuals that, hey, they're going to be voting one day. And we have to make sure that they know what they are voting for, what they are going to get. And so that is one of the things we have to do a better job within our school system, is making sure we do know that Constitution. I'd love to make sure that we also have a solid personal finance for our students. They need to know about capitalism. They need to know about the free market system. They need to know how it works, how they can invest, the dangers of debt, so that when they leave, that they do not become a part of an entitlement system, a part of a credit system, but they can actively go out there and become, wonderful savers and prepare for the future. That is one of the things that's education that really, when I started off, we did have that, but that has kind of just drifted, out of the way. We do not spend enough time with that, making sure that our kids know how to survive and that they can thrive. You don't have to be a millionaire to be successful, but through time and effort, you can save. And again, I'm a testimony of that. When I was at college, I slept on a sleeping bag. I ate cornflakes, pork and beans, and sometimes I'd get a little bit of hamburger and 99-cent pizza. But I did that day in and day out, did not have any assistance from my parents going to school. I worked several jobs, but when I came out, I appreciated what I have. So I know you can do a lot with less. And today I stand before you as an individual who is running for a state office. So it has to go back to personal responsibility and instilling that into our kids, and hopefully we can do that as well.